As many of you know, I went to Treyarch the other week, and I made a video discussing what I thought about the game more broadly, but in this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know before launch about Black Ops 6 Zombies. We're going to be focusing in on what you need to know in regards to this game mode. I have some very interesting insight from the studio itself, and some cool things to tell you about Black Ops 6 that I think you're going to really enjoy. So with zombies coming back in full force for Black Ops 6, I can tell you what I think the return of round-based means for the mode. For the entire year of Black Ops 6, I think it's going to be only round-based zombies maps. You know, Cold War had this mode called Outbreak, which ended up being this sort of like open world formula that they've never really tried before, but a lot of people, regardless if you like Outbreak or not, it did sort of cut into the time that they could have had to develop more round-based content, which is what many fans prefer. And so it looks like in Black Ops 6, we're going to be getting strictly round-based content only, at least for the foreseeable future. I'm sure as a lot of you guys know, but maybe some do not, there are two round-based maps that will be available day one on launch. These are called Liberty Falls and Terminus. Liberty Falls is this sleepy town set in West Virginia. Despite this map being set in a somewhat innocuous setting, right, you wouldn't really think anything too crazy of this location. I do have a reason to believe that I think there's a lot more going on underneath the surface of this town than is presented here or meets the eye. I think it's going to be very similar to Origins in that way, where it's going to have this whole other layer of things going on. But that's very exciting to me, and I think Liberty Falls is going to be the somewhat more easy map, as they've stated that the next map, Terminus, is the bit more of the complex one. Now, what's interesting about these maps is Liberty Falls and Terminus are taking place at the same time, and somehow this is going to allow our characters over in Terminus, which is our new playable zombies crew consisting of Gregory Weaver, Dr. Elizabeth Gray, Carver, and also a brand new girl named Maya Aguinaldo. So these are going to be our new playable cast, and we are playing as, I guess, somewhat different people in Liberty Falls because these maps are going to be taking place at the same time. So we don't know exactly how that's going to work at the moment, but you do have the ability to play as operators as well, but you can get the story and you're going to default to the main crew just, you know, right off the rip, which I think is a good thing. Now, here's where it gets interesting though, because we know that we have Liberty Falls and Terminus coming, and we even suspect that Terminus is going to be the slightly more difficult map. However, we have reason to believe that they may be going for the kind of route where you have both a main quest and a proper, like, hardcore Easter egg in a map. Those of you who have played World War II Zombies will remember the first map on disc, The Final Reich, kind of had this quest where it would sort of give you a journal and walk you through steps, but there was also a hardcore Easter egg that did not announce itself and needed to be solved. I think it's entirely possible that they design these Black Ops 6 Zombies maps with that sort of structure in mind, and I think that has crazy potential to make amazing zombies experiences. Speaking of the map Terminus, this one is going to take place on a Black Site 13 island, and this is the prison that all of Requiem got shipped to at the end of the Forsaken Easter egg cutscene, and this is going to be, I guess, their breakout attempt and how they escape this island, and this is where Dr. Peck also comes into play. The developers at Treyarch told me that the experience they're going for is a zombies mode that pulls all of the best elements from zombie experiences in the past, yet also introduces some brand new things that are specific to Black Ops 6, and one of those things that are returning is actually the armor system, and it looks like the scrap and salvage are going to be a part of that. As we can see a little bit in the trailer here, there are actually the green and blue salvage pickups that were in Cold War. Now, this was basically a currency that is separate to the point system. This allowed you to craft things at a table, repair your armor and stuff like that. So I think we can surmise that the armor system is probably going to be present in Black Ops 6, albeit I do imagine it's been changed or balanced to some degree, and also it does feel like the crafting table with all of the items that you can make will be back as well. I think a lot of the foundational systems of Cold War Zombies will be making a return in Black Ops 6, and they're going to be advancing off of what that game did. While we're on that topic of returning features from Cold War, we can also see here the Rampage Inducer. This is a feature that got introduced fairly late into Cold War Zombies' life cycle, and this is essentially an item that allows you to skip the early part of zombies. The first couple of rounds, you turn this on, and the zombies become super sprinters, very aggressive. This allows you to speed through a lot of the early zombies rounds, you know, the parts that are a bit tedious, rounds 1 through like 10 maybe, and so I think that's a really good feature for it to be returning. It's absolutely optional, so you don't have to speed up your game that way. Also, something that apparently we are getting are enemy types, and this includes something that's called the Tentacle Dog, and this appears that it's only going to be on Terminus, at least as of right now. It's similar to the Plague Hound from what it sounds like, where that's a specific kind of dog that leaves this sort of noxious gas effect behind. We don't know what Tentacle Hounds are going to do exactly and what their ability or effect is going to be. Maybe they can grab you from from longer range, I'm not really sure, but they appear to only be on Terminus. It does also look like Manglers are coming back. These were a very, prominent enemy in Cold War Zombies. They were on a majority of the maps in this game. They were even in Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, so the Manglers have been around quite a lot, since Gorod Krovi, and they are making a reappearance in Black Ops 6 as well. Now, here's something that's very exciting, is Wonder Weapons, obviously are returning. The ray gun's going to be in the game. That's a zombie staple, of course. Also, the jet gun from Transit is rumored to be returning. This has not been 100% confirmed, but it appears right now that the jet gun will be making an appearance, and if I had to take a guess, I would say that this would be a Wonder Weapon on Liberty Falls. I think that would make sense. Now, I don't know how many of you caught it in the Black Ops 6 Direct that they did, but during the zombie section, Kevin Drew was talking, and you can see in the background this jar of gobblegums, and under it is a book that says, "We've heard your feedback," and under that is like a PlayStation of like Black Ops 3. So yes, this had been talked about for a while. I'm sure you've seen leaks about it, but they ended up being correct. Gobblegum are returning to the game, and from my understanding, what I've gathered and talked to them about, it seems like this is going to be a system that's more faithful to Black Ops 3 Gobblegums. Because we've had variants of it in prior zombie games. In Black Ops 4, we had elixirs, and I just think that system was incredibly inferior to Gobblegums for many, many reasons, and these are going to be earnable in-game. I'm sure you're going to be able to purchase these as well when the game launches, but for the default, acquiring system, it looks like you can actually pick these up just from playing the game, which is very exciting news. And it also sounds like they're going to be working off the system that Black Ops 3 operated on, where it had different rarities, but also different colors for the functions. And so what that means is, you remember in BO3, purple gobblegums were manual activation based. Green gobblegums were based on the passage of time, blue were based on the passage of rounds, and orange were a condition that the player would get applied. So like, Perkaholic would be all the perks, or a wall power would be your next wall weapon, or crate weapons upgraded. You know how it is. So basically, they had this rarity system on top of a color system, and from what I've gathered, it's going to be very similar, if not identical, here for Black Ops 6, which is just amazing news, because I think that the Gobblegum system added so much sandbox replay value to the game. You can call them pay to win, and that's fine, but I think that they were a net positive on the game overall, just because of all the sheer things you can do with them, and the replayability they added, plus on top of them being completely optional to engage with. Now, when it comes to core gameplay, if I had to take a guess, I would presume that the game is going to operate on the rarity system that Cold War Zombies had, where you have your sort of red through orange kind of rarities that will determine the damage and also attachments of your weapon, and similar to what Modern Warfare Zombies did as well. And also, I do believe that there are going to be weapon kits again and loadouts. I could be wrong about that, and that is not confirmed at the moment, but it seems that the way the game is trending, and from everything we've heard, it would make sense to have loadouts and a very similar system to what Cold War had when it comes to weapons and thus weapon upgrading. Similarly, I would expect a lot of the same perks, maybe a couple of new ones, but mostly a lot of the ones that are already in Cold War. And then also field upgrades have not been mentioned yet, but it does seem like those are going to be a part of the gameplay loop as well, just because they fundamentally work with the systems that Cold War implemented. So while all of this news is great, there is one thing that's a bit unfortunate. It seems like Black Ops 6 Zombies is not going to have any offline play. It will require an internet connection the entire time you're playing. Now, it's not the first time we've experienced this, because technically Modern Warfare 3 Zombies also requires you to have an internet connection when you play, but the difference is that's an open world game where you're connecting to other players. You can still play solo in Black Ops 6, but it doesn't look like you can do it offline, and I think that there's a lot of complicated issues with this for high round players and people who enjoy playing the game offline, or maybe don't have access always to an internet connection. It doesn't seem like you can play this game offline for some reason, and I'm hoping they're able to reverse that decision or do something about that, provide a solution, but at the moment, it seems like there's no offline play at all. The good news is, though, for the first time ever, it looks like if you pre-order the Vault Edition of the game, we're getting Zombies Early Access on October 17th, so pretty much a whole week before the full game releases, and I don't know if this is going to be just like one map, and I don't know if it's going to be limited features, or if they're just going to give us the whole mode right up front for free. I'm not totally sure, but we are getting Zombies Early Access on the 17th. I'm sure Treyarch is going to elaborate on a lot of this stuff a bit further, but I was lucky enough to go there and get some insight into what they're doing with the mode, and all I can say is I'm incredibly excited for it, especially now that I feel like they found their footing after Cold War. I expect these maps to be very stellar. I think Zombies is going to be excellent, and I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, drop a like, subscribe before you go for more Zombies content, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.